Good morning, everyone, and happy Mercury Day, aka Miercoles. You're not going to want to miss today's show, as I'm going to be talking about Yamaloka and some very interesting Vedic insights that I'm excited to share with you. So, I wish everyone a happy Mercury Day. That is Wednesday. And what Mercury rules is our intellect. Our intellect is what we develop as soon as we come out of our mothers and start feeling around, looking, seeing, touching, experiencing. And we bring our intellect from birth to birth to birth. That's why we see things like child prodigies, why we have, certain likes and dislikes that we bring into the world as babies, and then grow into them as adults. And the intellect is something that we nurture so that we can grow into more divine ways of thinking and being. And there's a lot of ups and downs when it comes to this development. Now, I'm going to show you guys a photo of Mercury, also known as Buddha. That's Buddha with one D. There he is on his lion. It's like a lion with an elephant trunk, the animal that he rides. But his colors are green, which is why I'm wearing green today. His gemstone is emerald. So if you have any emeralds in your collection, wearing an emerald today is an excellent stone for Lord Mercury. You can also wear green stones and things like that. I'm wearing turquoise, which helps with my Vishuddha chakra, which is the chakra that Mercury rules, which is speech, communications, how we perceive the world. And if you were born on a Mercury day, he is your Dina Lord. So that's a Wednesday. So you are working on your intellect in this birth. And depending on where Mercury is in your chart, that tells me what things that you brought in from all of your former lives. And then I can look at your other charts to see what you're working on intellectually in this birth. So my Mercury, for example, is in Ashleisha, and it moves over to Ravati. So I'm working on my spiritual development and understanding of the intellect through spiritual study. And that's been made very, very pertinent in my life because I love studying the various religions, faiths, doctrines, philosophies. I find them to be fascinating. Just give me a good book and I'm lost. All right. So let's talk about the Dina Lord today. That is Mercury. He, like I said, rules the intellect. I'm going to go ahead and give you a mantra that you can do today to strengthen your intellect. And this is a seed mantra, also known as a Bij or Bija mantra. Okay. Okay. It's Om Brahm Brim Braum Sa Budaya Namaha. And you can do this 108 times via Amala. And what that can do is you ask Mercury, you focus on the throat chakra, and you ask Mercury to strengthen your divine intellect so that you can move closer to that beautiful Ananda, or the way that the divine thinks. Okay, so let's talk about the Adi Devata. This is someone who can help us with our actual mind, and this is Lord Vishnu. Now, he is the preserver. There's a Trimurti in the Hindu philosophy. There's the destroyer, which is Shiva. There's the preserver, which is Vishnu. And there's the creator, which is Brahma. And they all represent source. It's just our human way of understanding the divine everything, which I went into the show yesterday when the divine revealed his entire self to Arjuna. So Vishnu is the one responsible for us to bring samskaras into each life. What is a samskara? Samskara is the Sanskrit word for a past life impression that we are enacting in this life. Okay, so if you had a propensity for, let's say, chocolate, and as a baby, you started, figuring out different foods and like, oh, wow, my child really likes chocolate. That could be a past life samskara. That's a more physical one. If you are Mozart, for example, and at 2 years old, you pick up a violin and you start playing it, and then you're creating compositions by 3. That's a mental samskara. That's something that he brought from previous births as a divine musician. Okay. If you have a propensity to, and there's babies who can do this, cite the Gita or the Bible or spiritual texts, and they're just toddlers and they're talking about like ancient spiritual knowledge, that's a spiritual samskara. So we can bring these samskaras or scars from past life impressions into this birth and learn from them and grow from them. And that's who helps us carry them into this birth. So all of the work that you're doing in this birth builds for the next one and the next one and the next one. We are a constant work in progress. And that's what Vishnu the Preserver helps us do. So a very good mantra for Vishnu is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And that is calling on Vishnu, the preserver, to preserve our intellect and bring us to more divine realization and understanding. And we've actually prayed to Shiva to lift us out of ignorance, because he can put a fire under us and burn off all that dross. But what Vishnu does is he preserves all the good things from our past lives so that we can continue to grow from birth to birth. So it's a really beautiful thing to have. And then the Pratyadi, this is the spiritual helper of the day, and that is Narayana. Now, Narayana looks a little similar to Vishnu. It's because they're one and the same. But Narayana is the form of Vishnu that represents all of the names and forms. Okay, so Narayana, you can see here, is the divine dreamer, and he is the one dreaming all of us. In the Vedas, it is the philosophy is that we are literally part of a divine dream. Like, you go into a dream at night and you dream about all of these characters and people and places and animals and all of these thoughts. Narayana is the source, the dreamer of all. And so when we realize that we're just projections of this dream, we're able to rise up to higher planes of being and thinking, those more astral planes, because we can separate from that physical identity and move into more spiritual forms of our identity until we merge with the one identity, which was source. So a really good, this is very powerful. This is something you can do to just wash a lot of karma. Okay, guys, this is a great mantra. Okay, so I'm just going to give it to you. It's very easy. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. And as you do that, imagine the divine form as all. Every atom in the universe of universes, from the quark inside the atom to the universes beyond universes. That is that divine infinite source. And we are literally a drop in this divine ocean, a thought in a divine wave. Just like a music chord is part of a song, because I'm getting back into music again. Some people are the drums. Other people are the vocalists. Some people are the bass. And you work with all of those various patterns to create what's called the divine song. And that's what the Bhagavad Gita is. It's the divine song of God. That's what it translates to. And so Krishna plays his flute, and the music is us. We're the song. Okay, I hope that kind of explains the philosophy a little better for you guys. All right. So let's talk about what's going on in the sky. Now, I go about this every single day. And what it's hopefully helping you guys do is just stay a little bit more present, a little bit more aware of kind of things that are going on. Let's see. Now, the main thing that is going on is we have a very tight Neptune Neptune Rahu conjunction right now. What is that? There are a couple of shadow grahas, and what they do is they can fog the collective. Rahu's at 4 degrees and 17, Neptune's at 4 degrees and 35 of sidereal Pisces. They're fogging some light workers too, okay? So it's important that we step into our spiritual remedies and we do not look at the world through rose-colored glasses right now. Venus is also there. Venus is about to go retrograde. Thank you, Goddess, because Venus is in exaltation. That rules the 4th house of the United States. When the eclipses reveal, especially we're going to have the lunar eclipse on the 14th, and then the solar eclipse is going to reveal some big dark secrets that like, if you think things are crazy now, after we found out about Project 2025 during April 8th, the things coming out after March 29th, that's really going to reset the way you guys think about your assets and what you need to protect your family moving forward. And Venus is going to help you, because Venus is retrograde in the 4th house of real estate and what makes us feel secure. So we have some help there. There's still time, okay? Venus is helping. So I'm very thankful for that, but Venus is also part of the eclipse. So it's important that we pay attention to the signs and the secrets that come out, especially right after the 29th of March, okay? So I went into the eclipse a little bit more, I believe, on Sunday. So you guys can check out that video. Saturn and Sun are both in Aquarius. Saturn is in Purva Bhadra nakshatra, And the sun is in Shatabishak with Mercury. Mercury's also, oh, there's a Saturn-Mercury conjunction today. Okay, that's good to know. What that can do is Saturn can block some of our communications. That explains why some of you guys got the lives a little late, things like that. Saturn is the karmic teacher and he can block things. Okay, he's also in my 10th house, so that's been interesting. He went direct on my moon in my 10th house, and that's when we had to make a lot of changes in our lives. But he is there to set up those roadblocks to make sure that we stay in accordance to our dharma and to make sure that we are paying off our karma. Now the moon is in Dhanishta nakshatra, and he is in Capricorn until he moves into Aquarius later today. Dhanishta is the star, it's the power to give fame and abundance, and it's the star of symphony. Now this is my star. I'm in between Dhanishta and Shatabishak. So I do have a propensity for music, creating music. I did it as a kid. I sang a lot as a little girl. I was in choir, middle school, high school, college. I do a lot of digital music stuff. I love music. If I get involved in any kind of religious or community-based program, I look to see if there's music because I love it. Part of my bhakti is I like to sing. I like to do mantras. It's a big part of how I connect. So Dhanishtas are the star of symphony. They love to create music. They love to create community through music. They like to write music for others. Other people inspire them with music. And I'm starting to get back into that so that I can kind of refine my soul again because it brings me a lot of joy. Pluto's still at 8 degrees in Capricorn, moving through that second house of the United States. So it's important that we revise our assets, things like that. That's the house of savings and food. A lot of things are going to be changing in that arena. My husband and I are still putting together a really intense video about the food scene here in Mexico. Everything from farmers markets to grocery stores, etc., and creating something that Americans can see with their own eyes as like how food is being distributed in Mexico versus the United States. Like one example, we get Washington apples here. We're from Washington State. They're far less here in Mexico, even after they've been shipped here, than they are in the United States. Why is that? So we go a little bit into that, and it's interesting. Let's see, Jupiter is in Taurus. He's currently conjunct Gulaka. So it's important that we avoid accidents, and we're staying on the dharmic path today. Gulaka is one of the sons of Saturn, and he's a snake that can bite if we're off our dharmic path. Okay, he can cause dis-ease and sometimes even death to kind of like reset us so that we don't go too far off course. Okay, he only is activated when we're off course. All right, Mars is direct in Gemini. Okay, he's in the 7th house of the United States, which represents our allies. So we're now getting to see, now that he was retrograde, now he's going direct, what the new administration is going to do in regards to our allies. In May, Ketu and Rahu are going to switch nodes and enter into the Leo, Aquarius, Sidereal Leo, and Sidereal Aquarius. That is the third. So Rahu will be in the 3rd house of the United States, which will affect our journalism. Not in a good way, okay, because Rahu is a demon. And then Ketu, which is going to detach us, is going to be in our 9th house of foreign alliances. So we got to prepare for that, okay? So that's just some energy coming there. All right, so that's the big stuff going on in the sky. But I love this. It's music, dance, fame, reciting abundance, liberal and brave. It's the star of symphony. And I have the power to give other people abundance and fame. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's why I got into marketing. I love creating things for people to help them with their businesses and things like that. It's one of my favorite things to do, whether it's making graphic designs or creating little commercials or songs or doing a search engine optimization, coding, things like that. It's one of my favorite things is to promote others, and that's what Dhanishtas do, and that's in my 10th house. So today I'm going to talk about Yamaloka. I went into the hell planes yesterday, but Yamaloka is where we go to get judged, okay? And this is according to Vedanta, and it ties in a lot of different religions and philosophies, whether it's the Greeks and the Romans, or the Catholics, or the Christians, or the Muslims, or the Jews, or fill in the blank. Okay, all right. So the way to Yamaloka, 2 fierce messengers of death stand before the lowest and the worst sinner with frightful looks. Now this is someone who's been a bad boy or girl. The sinner is bound by a noose and thrown by the messengers. It kind of reminds me of, you guys have seen Ghost, and they go get the guy at the end that she was warning Demi Moore about, that Whoopi was warning Demi about. I don't know their names, just remember the actresses. It's kind of like that when they come to get him. Stricken by terror, he passes urine. He is endowed with a special thick body called Yatana Deha to undergo the sufferings on the path. This is to pay back some of the karma. The messengers bind him with cords and forcibly drag him along distant routes to the city of Samyamani. You know, prison and punishment here on earth is actually a very good thing because it keeps people out of these experiences, because if they come to divine retribution, they don't have to go through this. There is no shade of trees on the way. There is neither food nor water. 12 suns blaze. The sinful goes along, pierced by cold winds in one place, torn by thorns, and in another stung by every venomous serpent and scorpion. He is burnt by fire in another place. With a broken heart and threats of cruel guide, shivering with fear, bitten by merciless hounds, conscious of the past times, and tortured by hunger and thirst, burnt by the fierce sun, marching through red-hot sand, and severely beaten on the back, though half falling down in a swoon, he is made to rise again and carried to the abode of the Lord of Death. Not a great way to end your life. So it's important that we stay in our dharma in this one. He is condemned to prolonged sufferings and passes through gradations of the grossest animal lives. That's to reset them, because these are people who've done things like that not even animals would do. It's very low nature stuff. In the process of evolution, like pigs and dogs, he attains gradually to a human body after the process of purifications and much sufferings. What the divine is doing there, and this is like for children who remember their past births, they don't necessarily go through this because they're just remembering their past life. For people that are born screaming and in terror, it's because they just came out of this. And that was to reset them and put them in families where they can basically be told right versus wrong. Okay? In one place he falls into a hidden well, in another from a lofty mountain. On another he treads razor edges and spear points. In one place he stumbles into an awful blackness and falls into water. In another, mud abounding in leeches, and another hot slime. In other places it is a plain of hot sand made of smelted copper, and another a mound of embers. In some places there are showers of charcoal, showers of stones, thunderbolts, showers of blood, weapons, showers of boiling water. In the midst of the way flows a terrible, horrible Vaitarani river, which consists of pus and blood. It is difficult to cross this river. The sinner is beaten with hammers by the terrible messengers of Yama. He is forcibly dragged by the nooses. He eats the monthly rice balls given by his son. So when someone goes out on the South Path, that's between July 13th or 14th, depending on where you live, and January 13th or 14th. January to July is the North Path. That's where higher souls go. July to January is where the souls go to return to the ancestors, and a lot of them go through Yamaloka first. So what we do is something called Shraddha for the ancestors, and what it does is it takes away some of the pain and misery that this course can cause depending on the sins that they have brought in from that life. For instance, we offer rice balls so that they don't starve. If we offer a cow, they can cross the ocean of that terrible river on a boat. If we can offer them an umbrella under the hot rays of the sun. We can offer them water to resist. So we basically, in the Shraddha, we give them the tools necessary to make the journey easier. Okay, that's what Shraddha is called, and it's a year after the anniversary of an ancestor's death. All right, if the son makes a gift of cow and the departed soul gets a boat to cross the Vaitarani River, things like that. He reaches the abode of Yama, finally, at the end of a year. So this goes on for a year. Lord Yama asks Chitragupta. Chitragupta is the keeper of the Akashic records. He asks him about their sins. Chitragupta inquires of the Shravanas, who are the sons of Brahma. Yesterday, the moon was in Shravana. Shravanas are the ears of Brahman. They see, know, and all. They're basically the cameras inside all of us. They're our eyes, our ears, our mouths. They record everything that we say and do. Okay? They know all the actions of human beings. The Shravanis, wives of the Shravanas, know accurately all that are done by women. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, sky, the heart, Yama, day and night, two twilights, justice, the sun and the moon know the actions of man and woman. Lord Yama, the king of justice, gives fitting punishment to all sinners. Then cruel messengers take them to hell and torture them. Again and again, these messengers beat the sinners with spears, maces, and pestles. This is to build negative samskaras so that when they take on another human body, they don't do that again. Okay, it's like aversion therapy. The virtuous are instead wafted up in heavenly cars to the gardens of paradise, where they gain by their virtuous acts in this life. But the highly sinful soul meets with icebergs and caverns strewn with thorns and pointed steel pikes, bushes and shrubs on its way for the punishment of its sins. Those who have a mediocre class have a clear and fine passage with soft grassy pathways strewn with cooling arbors and so are supplied with spring waters on both sides. So those are people that like they did some good, they did some bad, which are most of us. The really evil ones, it's not good, guys. Okay. The really blessed ones, holy guacamole, they get to sit in divine energy. How great is that? Okay. On its arrival there, the soul reflects within itself, here I am, here am I, and yonder is Yama, the Lord of Death. The other is the judge of our actions, Chitragupta, and this, his judgment given on my behalf. Here in Yama's court, that's the god of death, the judgment is pronounced for the jiva, that's our individual soul, so that it might reap the reward of its acts, whereby it ascends either to the blissful heaven or descends to a painful hell below. And again, these are temporary planes. They're not forever. After enjoying the pleasures of Svarga, that's heaven, or suffered the pains of hell, the soul is doomed to return to earth again and undergo the results of its acts in repeated births. This is the significance of periodical ceremonies done for the deceased for the first 1 year after their death. So on the annual anniversary, what people who follow Vedanta do is they do a full ceremony for the ancestors that have passed. They offer the rice balls. They offer the various things that help them cross that year journey to Yamaloka where they are judged. And this year, it's if you want to do it for all the ancestors, it is September 7th through the 21st. If you want to do it for a particular ancestor, it would be on the anniversary of their passing. And it's never too late to do a Shraddha ceremony, okay? I'm going to go into concentration and meditation because that is one of the things that helps our soul vibe high, especially in these human bodies and this human birth, okay? Now, I talked about all of these different planes and lokas and, scenarios. In the Vedic term for that is Leela. It's the divine play. It's also called Maya, which is the illusion, because the only real thing is Atman, which is the divine source, which is we're just the dream. Okay, so Leela is the dream that we're all living in. Okay, wake up the mind in Leela. Even though you have conquered Leela by distraction or by repeated practice, by ragya, that's dispassion, and Jnana Vyasa, that's knowledge, or Brahma Chitana, yet the mind will not enter into a state of perfect balance or serenity. It will be in an intermediate stage. The mind is still not free from raga, that's attachments, which is the seed of all activity in the direction of the external objects. That's all the stuff out here. Okay. There is still a lurking passion for hidden vasanas or kshaya. Kshayas, we talked about those yesterday. That's like impurities in the mind, tossing of the mind, things like that. It's colors on the mind, it's descriptions. Okay. You will have to restrain the mind again by charya, that's discernment, and do rigorous meditation in the practice of sampranyata or salvikapa samadhi. That is reaching the divine through sadhana. And if you do that consistently and keep a very rigid practice, you can enter into the plane of samadhi, which is divine union, at least temporarily in meditation. Finally, you can rest yourself in asam, pranyata, or seedless samadhi, which is nirbija samadhi, which means that you actually take on the soul of God and you're just walking around like Jesus, okay, or Buddha, or one of the many atmans and great rishis and avatars of our time. Okay, so that's kind of the goal. So I hope that helps a little bit, and know that this place is an illusion as well as all of the other lokas. And when we see through the illusion, kind of like the Matrix, we can start to change as souls. And that change, that perception takes many births, takes millions of births. So we got a lot of time to work this stuff out. And sometimes we go to hell, sometimes we go to heaven, sometimes we go in between. Our soul is being constantly thrashed about so that we can let go of the things that are holding us back and move toward the things that are lifting us up closer and closer and closer to that samadhi state. So I'm going to go into the tarot of the day. And I thought it was a little interesting what they brought to my attention. All right. Thank you for sending health and strength to Jonathan. I really appreciate that. As you guys know, he's been going through it, so we appreciate that. He's a mongoose, so he's his vitality hasn't been great. So we're really working with him on that. Okay, so the first card I got, and this is kind of what's going on with that Rahu-Neptune conjunction. I got the Page of Cups reversed. Do not give in to naivety. And if you are trying to, it's basically beware of your naive heart's tricks right now, okay? Idealism is not going to be rewarded at this time. It's time to step into reality, look at what's going on, and take decisive action, okay? If you're emotionally dependent on things that are no longer going to be there, it's time to let them go, okay? Emotional naivety is a little dangerous because it doesn't allow us to navigate the real world effectively, especially when we see big things coming. So if you're coming from a place of hurt feelings, that's completely understandable. I'm with you. I feel it. But at the same time, we're going through like a metaphorical birthing right now. Okay. And we need to handle this with a lot of caution and be very aware and very present as it happens. If we are emotionally aware of what's going on and not idealizing the situation or building castles in the sky, we're going to be able to get through it much easier. Okay. I tend to be more of a realist when it comes to things, which is why I don't do political shows, because I upset people. Because I see what's coming and I just go, oh, look, a monster. And they go, ah. And I'm like, well, but I tend to be that way. It's an Aquarian thing. I'm able to kind of remove my emotions from the situation and just look at it like a scientist looks at it under a microscope. Not everybody has that. I understand that. But what I'm basically saying is if you feel like you have been looking through the world in rose-colored glasses because you don't want to feel the dis-ease that's coming, sometimes you have to feel a little distressed. Allow that dis-ease to sink in and go, wait a minute, this is what's going on. I need to pay attention. It's kind of like getting a lump on your neck and going, oh, it's just a lump, it'll go away. And then you find out later it's cancer. Pay attention to it the moment you notice it. Go get it looked at. Get it under a microscope and a doctor. Have them tell you what's going on, okay? You need to look at your environment right now, especially if you're living in the United States, in that way. Look at it from under a microscope. Take your emotions out of it and look at it from a very scientific perspective. That's what gets me through it. I hope that can help you. I tend to take a very Queen of Swords approach when I'm going through trauma. I detach my emotions and I look at it through Jyotish or the Vedas, or I look at the karmas that are going on in charts. I get my math brain going and I look at I get my evolutionary astrology out and I'm like, okay, this happened here and this happened here, but this is what we can expect now. And I take my emotions out of it and I deliver the message, and it's not always well received. And I love you guys, but it's because I'm not giving into that naivety. That's just who I am. It's part of my personality and why I don't get involved in a lot of the more political shows, and in my opinion, why I'm not very popular. And it's kind of like a Fauci thing, but I'm actually okay with that. Here's what's coming. We already know this. It's injustice. The rats have taken over the storehouse and they want everything, and they're lying to people. That's part of that Page of Cups. They're appealing to people's emotions, and they are gaslighting the crud out of the collective. Okay. So who's the collective? That's you, my beautiful souls. That's you. You are the empresses. You are the creators. You are the imaginers. You are the people that are there that are spreading your light. This is my card for the Statue of Liberty. You are the light workers. You are that beacon of light, okay? You are beautiful souls, and you need to protect your light because a storm is coming, okay? All right. What is this storm going to look like, and who's in charge of it? The King of Swords reversed. This is a king that is misusing his intellect, okay? There's a lot of them. There's more than one of them. And this is not the people who are on stage with their power tools, or the people who are saying horrible, hateful things on the news. These are people behind the scenes, the people we don't see. We're going to see some of that stuff, especially after the 29th eclipse in March. Okay, so intellect and reason and analysis, they're all wonderful traits. It's what I kind of lean on when I'm going through trauma, but it can hinder common sense, and especially if there is a lust for power. And that's what we're seeing from some of the leaders. These are the real think tanks behind the scenes. These are the masterminds. These are people that have extremely strong Mercuries, and they're using it to create more power, more control, and more resources for themselves. This is the class that is behind this. Okay, and there's a lot of them. All right, so be cautious of this type of energy. Don't allow their preconceived ideas to impair your judgment. Like, oh, there's so much waste going on here, we should just drop the whole program that funds over 100 million people in the United States. Oh, but there's fraud. This is theft, guys. Okay. And it's impeded. They don't realize what's coming for them. That's why I read Yamaloka. Okay, guys that do this, that's where they're headed. But they have to go through that as souls before they come back and learn not to do that again. Okay, there are 8 billion people on the planet. When he was around, there were just under 2 billion. These are souls that are coming up from lower levels that have not gone through the hellish planes. They're new. This is the most people we've ever had in recorded history on the planet. These are a lot of new souls, and they struggle with narcissism, just like little children and toddlers struggle with it because they haven't really come into their own personalities yet. And they have to go through birth after birth until they realize, don't act like that. Serve the collective, even though you've been given all this power. If you misuse it, this is what happens to you. Okay? As light workers, we need to step in and deliver the truth. Karma is real. This is what happens when you're bad. Even if it doesn't happen here on the earth plane, it's even worse for you in those other planes. Okay? And to step into our power, we cannot allow this injustice to prevail or the naivety to cloud our judgment or the judgment of the collective. Okay? We have to see things from a less emotional standpoint and a more intellectual standpoint, and come at it the way we would a mother looking after her children. Okay? Like if your child is about to put their hand on the stove, you go, "Oh, Johnny dear, please do not. Oh, that is a bad thing to do if you sit that." And the child's 2 years old and just looking at you like, "What? Huh?" And you're speaking sweetly to the child. No, you scream at them. They're about to put their hand on the stove. It's like that. We need them. If you want to know where I got all my texts today, it's sivananda.org. Free archive of a ton of free books and PDFs. You guys can have access to all of them. Okay? So with that, I am sending you all tons of love and light. As workers, don't give up. You've got this. Beat those shadows down. And know that regardless of whether or not they face punishment in Earth, you can just play back what they can expect when they die.
Sacred knowledge from the stars. Vedic truth heals ancient scars. Mantras clear the karmic way, bringing light to guide each day. Let the planets show their signs as the cards and stars combine. Ancient wisdom flows through